Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Pod.
Warning, the opinions in this podcast are performed by professionals, so for your safety and the protection of those around you, do not attempt to recreate any of the wild and crazy thoughts you are about to hear. Hello, I'm Dallas King, and welcome to Filibuster. With me as always is the Steve-O to my Johnny Knoxville. It's Lee Hutchison. How are you?
I always felt Steve-O had the short straw. Like, he was a bit more hardcore than the rest of them, which doesn't seem to fit my personality. I think I was watching the second one the other day, and it was kind of like, right, what would I do? What would be like the stunts that I would do? And I don't think I picked a single one that Steve-O would have done. I think I played it a bit more safe than him.
Maybe you're the Johnny Knoxville, and maybe I'm Steve-O because I think he turned vegan after several ones, and I'm vegan. So yeah, maybe I'm more Steve-O, but I haven't got a tattoo of myself on my back. Although I think that's maybe one of the things he maybe also rolled back on over the last 10 years. So on today's show, we are reviewing Jackass Forever. We're going to be swindled by Tinder, and then we are going to find out if the moon indeed did fall with Roland Emmerich's newest one, and fingers crossed we're going to do something just a little different. We're recording this on Tuesday lunchtime during our lunch breaks, and the Oscar nominations go live starting at 1:18 p.m. UK time, 5:18 a.m. US time. It's an early start for everyone over in California, but never mind. So we're going to see if we can do some live reactions to some of the nominations that are coming out. So we'll see how it goes. I guess you'll find out, because, you know, it depends if it is in or is not in the end of this episode. So yeah, we'll find out. But first up, it's been 12 years since Jackass 3D. Most of the gang have returned to do what they do best: hit each other in the balls and make us all laugh. So Lee, I think it's fair to say that this was, perhaps, maybe somewhat surprisingly, probably one of your most anticipated films of, well, this year, and potentially also last year, because I think it was at one point it was meant to come out last year, I think maybe around about October time, but then got punted to February 2022. So, I mean, did it live up to the hype, and why in particular was this film so anticipated for yourself?
I'm not too sure why I was so anticipating it so much. I think it's just, I was talking about Jackass earlier today with a friend, and they were like, "Oh, it's not really a movie, is it? Like, there's no plot or a narrative," which is fair. But, you know, I think sometimes when we've discussed films over the years, sometimes a film can be elevated by that shared experience. And, you know, Jackass, you know, for nearly our entire generation, was something we first watched on TV, on MTV, laughing. Maybe we had some friends over, but that was it. But then when it went to the cinema, there's just something about that shared experience of, with, like, you know, a sold out screening or a packed audience, just wincing, gasping, laughing away at all of the sort of same bits. Like, that is such a great shared experience. And I remembered sort of going to see the third one when that came out, but still the best use of 3D in my opinion. And it just, I had such a great time, and it held up as one of my sort of, like, I'm not saying it was the best movie ever, but one of the best times I've had in a cinema. Just, like, I know it's become one of the most popular sort of YouTube clips or clips people will go to about, like, the big hand that they have that whack the people as they come through the lobby. And I remember just thinking it was the funniest thing, just sat in a cinema with my friends watching that, and I was really desperate to recreate sort of that moment, or chase it, I guess, a little bit, where you know you just sort of sit there on a Friday night, you know, you've worked for the week, and you just know, as you mentioned, it's like people being hit in the balls, gross out humor, people are going to be sick, there's going to be shit, but you know it's going to be really funny, and it taps into that side of your brain that you never kind of get over. Like, it's not the sort of thing I'd put on the TV or go out my way to watch at the cinema, but I just know I'm going to have a great time with the Jackass guys. And, you know, I love the atmosphere that they have amongst themselves. I just think they're a great bunch of lads in a way. And
Great bunch of lads.
Yeah, great bunch of lads. And I was just excited to have that return to the cinema. Like, it didn't feel that they were doing it for like money purposes. Like, it very much felt like they wanted to get the gang back together and have a good laugh together. And there's always these things where I think someone counted up, there's about 35 different skits across maybe 80 minutes or so, like that. And I don't know how many times over the years I've watched Jackass movies. They're so easy to watch, whether they've been on Netflix, etc. And even last week I watched the second one, and then I somehow found myself watching it again on the Saturday with my girlfriend, who'd never sort of seen the second one, or maybe just seen clips of it. And I'd only watched it a couple of days earlier, but it was just so easy to just watch it again and again. And I just think it's a great world to escape into. So I was excited to just have a good laugh, I guess, and be with my friends.
Yeah, no, I think there is a lot to be said of the films which have succeeded at the box office since the pandemic and stuff like that. Obviously, you've got the Marvel blockbusters, DC blockbusters, but I think beyond that, I think if you were to look at the breakout success stories, they will basically fall into two categories: comedies and horrors, because there's just something about, like you say, sitting in a darkened room and either laughing together or screaming together. I think it just takes one person to sort of start this ripple of it, and then soon, basically most of the audience will be joining in that sort of collective community experience. And I think it's something in my review of Jackass. I basically said that it's impossible to replicate at home. I mean, you might have maybe 5 or 6 people sort of laughing, but it doesn't beat hundreds of people laughing to the point where they can't breathe, or the oohs and the ahs and the gasps and the audible winces was a lot when I went to see it. It was sort of early Friday afternoon. It wasn't like a hugely packed screening. There was probably about sort of 50 odd people, but it was still easily the sort of loudest crowd reactions I'd heard since probably Avengers Endgame in 2019. So I mean, I think when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home, there was like a few little whoops and cheers. This was like was it like a Wednesday afternoon, so it wasn't like a packed screen, but there was a few sort of whoops at certain characters returning, but there was definitely nothing on the level of this. And I think it's just, I think people seem to be surprised that the Jackass movie has done as well as it did, not in terms of box office, but critical acclaim, where people, I think, in the past have maybe sort of sneered at them, like you say, is it a movie? It's just a collection of skits, sort of, not even well edited together. It's basically, eat, sleep, punch on the balls, repeat, fade out, move on to the next one, introduce the next one, and stuff like that. So I'm sure someone will argue, the fact that, is it a movie? Can it be included in your best of things? Well, it was released in the cinema, which is more than, say, something like Hamilton or Bo Burnham's Inside. So I think it is cinema. It's, as Tarkovsky would say, poetic cinema. Just, a man with a dick of bees, poetic cinema. So I think it was something that, like you say, brings people together. And I mean, so you watched Jackass from the very beginning, I guess. I mean, were you a fan of like you say, there's not really a narrative over the, have you watched like the is it Bad Grandpa or is it Dirty Grandpa? I can't remember. Which one's the Robert De Niro one? Is that Dirty Grandpa? So this one, yeah, so Johnny Knoxville's one is Bad Grandpa, isn't it? Have you watched those? Were you a fan of those ones as well, or?
No, not particularly. I have seen them, but I don't think I've ever rewatched them or felt compelled to. I mean, it's just, it's fine and funny enough way, but it's not what I'm into. I like the whole gang, and as I mentioned, sort of like you have all these different skits, hundreds of them over these kind of 4 movies. That's the stuff I'm into and so on, because, a friend of mine sort of made fun of me the other day where I was like, these films are so layered that you need to go back and see them multiple times. Like with Dirty Grandpa, Bad Grandpa, whatever. You watch it, you go, oh, that was funny or that was terrible, and you've kind of taken it all in. Whereas when I came out of Jackass the other day, me and my friends were like, oh, what was your favourite bit? And we would kind of trade some bits. And then kind of the next day, we were sort of messaging each other going, and that bit was so funny as well. The bits you'd almost forget about because there's just so much going on. You'd be like, oh, that bit with the bear was great. Or that bit where Lacey, shits his pants basically, and you kind of there's bits you forget about because there's just so much going on. So I'm actually going back to see it tonight with my girlfriend. So I'm really looking forward to picking up on the things that I maybe didn't notice the first time, or kind of that's maybe sort of smaller skip between some of the bigger ones, with the tight runtime it is, and with some of the time that gets spent on some of the bigger ones. Some of them maybe only last 30 seconds or even less in some cases. So there's some I'm looking forward to just laughing along to for a second time, or appreciating a little bit more on a rewatch, which sounds silly to say about a skit show, I guess.
Yeah, but I think they certainly know that timing is the key to success in comedy. So I think what I found is, certainly with some traditional comedy films and whatever, is that they maybe haven't tested it enough, and you could have like a really big gag, but then the audience reacts in such a way that then you maybe miss like the next couple of gags and stuff like that. So I think they know where to sort of push the boundaries and how long to keep a certain sketch running before ending it and then bringing in the next one and stuff like that, to give a little bit of a pause to catch your breath before starting on the next one. And I mean, there's even sort of maybe a couple of sketches that go on the sort of trajectory of, I would say, is it Team America, in the vomiting scene in the thing, where it starts off funny and goes on so long that you're like kind of like grossed out and like, okay, I'm a bit bored, but then it continues on to the point where it's really, really funny again. So I mean, if you were to pick some of like a couple of your highlights from this one, what would they have been?
I think it was one I touched on a little bit earlier, the lie detector test. I'm always a big fan when Johnny Knoxville, to use a term you'll appreciate as a wrestling fan, he is such a worker, isn't he? So like he kind of lures Danger Aaron into sort of this, just doing this lie detector, where if he tells a lie, he's going to get like shocked. But that's not all it is. And you kind of look at the time at that point going, oh, there's about like 15 minutes left of this film. Where's it kind of going to go? And they're going to have to extend this one a little bit. There's got to be something going on here. And then sort of what they turn around and do is they like hook him up to this lie detector, and they sort of do some simple questions like, what's your name, blah blah blah. And then he's all kind of tied up at the time. And then Johnny Knoxville pours like honey over him, puts salmon next to his crotch, and then opens this little door, and this big brown bear comes through that just starts to eat the salmon and go for the go for the honey. And it is just hysterical watching Danger Aaron sort of in absolute fear and panic. I thought that was fantastic. I also particularly loved the Silence of the Lambs style scene, where they're all kind of going into the this sort of room, and they think there's going to be like a kind of cobra snake or something along those lines. And then they sort of switch the lights off, and Johnny Knoxville, in worker mode again, has got like the night vision goggles on, and it just like messes with them so well. So yeah, that was fantastic. And yeah, as someone that really enjoyed the cup test one as a kid, where like Johnny Knoxville wore a cup, and they like had like a bunch of kids kick him in the nuts and like drop an 8-ball down from like a roof onto it. I remember turning to my friend at one point. So like the first test was like this MMA fighter just like smacked Danger Aaron again in the nuts with this cup, and you're like, and then I think they took it up to like this like fight like fast pitcher afterwards, that softball player. I remember just turning to my mate and going, oh my god, if this is as bad as it is now, where is it going to go to next? Like they're not stopping at that point. You would think like this would be the height of that would be like an MMA fighter with the like hitting someone in the crotch like at the speed of a car hit or something like that. But I'm still wriggling in my seat and almost having to cover my groin just thinking about the pogo stick. So yeah, that was another one that left the cameraman, what's his name, Lance Bangs, like throwing up again, and that just terrified me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if it's just the ones that made the final cut, but it did seem like the sort of Danger Aaron seemed to get the most abuse out of the gang. He certainly seemed to have the toughest ones in terms of actual bodily damage. And I mean, there was a moment where I was thinking, is the bear one going just a little bit too far? Could they have maybe, cut it short and got the bear handler in just a moment sooner, because he was really freaking out at that point when the bear decides to almost sort of like put his paw down his trousers to find out if there's any more salmon. And he's just like, stop it, and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you can tell that, you know, they've been friends for forever, and you know, I mean, there is a couple of notable absences. Of course, sadly, Ryan Dunn died in 2011, and the film is tributed to him at the end. And then, obviously, I think there was an issue with Bam Margera, who was going through sobriety problems and was basically considered uninsurable for the film, which is, you know, a thing which, you know, I always laugh when I see the bit at the beginning that says professionals, and it's not in inverted commas, but I guess because they're getting paid to do the film, I guess that makes them professionals. But I mean, considering that half of the stunts are things are going to happen to these guys and they're unaware of what's going to happen, it's difficult to plan, you know, everything out to the point where you know that they're definitely not going to get seriously hurt. And I mean, I think it's fair to say that, you know, some of them are potentially getting, to, you know, use a phrase from Lethal Weapon, slightly getting too old for this shit. I mean, what did you make of the recreation of the bull fight test with Johnny Knoxville? Because I think my audience was, I think, almost shocked into silence at the hit, and, you know, wondering if he was going to be okay after that one, because it was a proper smack to the head.
Yeah, I've never not been terrified of watching him with the bull, or any time they've done the bull stuff. Like, I think you can break down Jackass into electricity, bees, bulls, and bodily fluids for a lot of their stunts. And yeah, I always get terrified of the bulls and so on. And it's just, you know, I always think the closest one I felt remotely comfortable watching that one was when, I think it was maybe the second or third one, where they're sort of like bouncing on sort of like the the name escapes me. They're jumping around on sort of one of these sort of seesaw style things, and you know, they're trying to dodge the bull. But I just get terrified when Johnny Knoxville goes into there, because you just always feel that thud on the ground. It's not like soft mud that they go onto, and I think it's always that worry you have of, like, you might get knocked down first time and then it's going to come back to you again. So when I was watching them the other day, I was like, what stunt would I be willing to do? What would I not be willing to do? That is very much in the stunt of would not do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's you do sort of go, you know, would it me and my friends sort of done that kind of thing, you know, because there was like a few sort of knockoff type shows, you know, over here in the UK. There was sort of Dirty Sanchez and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if I was ever willing to put my body through anything to the extreme like they're doing and stuff like that, because, you know, I know how much it hurts to get hit in the ball, so I don't think I'd ever really want to do that willingly time and time again. But I mean, one of the things which, you know, was interesting about this film is, you know, given the fact that, you know, several of them are getting on in age slightly, there was a new sort of crop of people being brought in to do some of the stunts, potentially sort of, I guess, queuing it up for a new generation. I mean, what did you make of some of the new additions? I think the problem for me was, you know, there's maybe two, I think, like Zach and Poopies, probably had enough sort of screen presence and charisma to join in the gang, but there was a few that just didn't really make too much of an impression. And I wonder if part of that was the lack of this sort of narrative function that is part of Jackass, and we never really got to meet any of them properly, or find out how they got recruited and stuff like that. So I think that was maybe a slight miss on the part of the film. But what did you make of the new additions?
I liked was it Jasper and his dad? I thought they were pretty good. But
Dark Shark,
Dark Shark. Yeah, I like them. I think I agree to an extent. I think, you know, Poopies and Zach came across pretty well. It's one of those things. I'm not too concerned. You know, I wanted to see a bit more of Rachel, you know, the first female addition to Jackass. I think the one thing that I always take a bit of reassurance from is they've been doing it since the second one, is they always release a sort of like 0.5 version of the film with like all the extra material, because they just shoot hundreds and hundreds of hours. So, you know, I suspect we'll see probably a bit more of them in there. Like, I kind of looked up Rachel afterwards, and she's sort of like a comedian as opposed to sort of a traditional kind of professional in this sort of like stunt world. So I think within reason, I think she did quite a bit and so on. But yeah, I would like to have seen a bit more. And usually in these 0.5 editions, you get a bit more of the sort of the character work, and that's something I think we'll see a bit more of.
Yeah, no, I think definitely sort of maybe sort of October, November, we'll see Jackass Forever, 0.5 or part two, whatever it's basically just to allow getting a qualifying run for the Oscars, perhaps, because you never know, it might be the kind of film that the Oscars decide to reward and stuff. I think one of the most interesting moments of Jackass for me was actually the one with the scorpion Botox. And they will happily kick each other in the balls even without warning and stuff like that. But what I found interesting was when the scorpion landed on Rachel, Chris Pontius basically makes a point of, I need consent. You need to consent me to let me touch your breast to get rid of the scorpion. And I find it interesting, that they will mutilate each other's genitals, but there was a line he would not cross, which was, to touch a woman without her consent. I thought that was quite interesting, given the times that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see, I'm sure there'll be arguments from some people that Jackass has gone woke now.
But, from one group of terrible men to one particular terrible man, we both happened to catch one of the Netflix's latest shock docs over the weekend, and that was The Tinder Swindler. And this is the true life story of a man who, posing as a wealthy jet-setting diamond mogul, who wooed women online, then conned them out of millions of dollars. And now some victims come forward to plan their payback. So, Lee, what did you make of Netflix latest? Were you shocked, stunned? Was the rug pulled out from you time and time again?
It's one of those ones. I think Netflix produces so much content, it really takes a lot to break through sometimes. And I think this one had just that sort of initial weekend word of mouth of like, oh my god, you won't believe this, or you kind of see some of that sort of social media kind of breakout that some of these films don't get. I mean, having just watched that Netflix super trailer that they did, where it's like all the films for the year, and it's like, I'm probably never going to see like 90% of these films or hear about them ever when they get released. But this one kind of came out, it's almost that kind of like, simple sort of runtime, about like 100 minutes. I'm continuing to do sort of the 52 films by women challenge for the year. So I thought, yeah, that's another one I can take off of there. And, we've all kind of seen sort of like dating apps and websites, have been the subject of documentaries before. So, but this one kind of brings in the sort of that mystery element of like, who's this Simon Levev guy, and how is and what is his goal of getting all of these millions of pounds from women. And it kind of keeps you kind of interested for sort of the first hour or so, and you kind of watch it and you have that attitude where you shouldn't really think it, but you do. You're like, how are these people so stupid? Like, why would you give all this money to people, or take out crazy loans, or not just turn around and go, aren't your parents billionaires? Ask them for help. But I think the last half an hour of the film, which I won't spoil, was a great payoff to that. Like, it was just like, that's what you wanted to see. It was very much that kind of slay queen, etc. kind of vibe. It was just, I really liked where it went. And sometimes with these documentaries, it's quite fun to do your own little digging afterwards. Like, I wonder what happened to them next. And I saw he was still kind of back to it on Instagram and so on, and saying that he was going to come out with his own story, etc. And he just seems like a really terrible human being. And I thought, wow, what is he playing at?
Yeah, I mean, I watched this with my wife, and we were both sort of watching it and going, yeah, I mean, why would you wouldn't, would you? And then, but I mean, it's clear that people do. So I guess no judgment on to those who do. But I think it was one point when one of them was like, what's more important, the deposit for a flat of my own, or the safety of my new friend. And it's like, and we were both like, well, your house deposit, obviously. You keep your house deposit, and then so I mean, it's one of those ones where it just goes on some wild, wacky turns, but also you are like wondering, like, why, how did it get to this point? But I guess people will do anything for love. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Well, it wouldn't be me.
No. So yeah, you're saying that 100%. you'd met a woman on a dating app, and she'd whisked you away on a private jet to the Cannes Film Festival or something, and then a couple of months later, sent you a video saying, I need some money, help me out. You would have been like, you wouldn't have given her any cash whatsoever.
I could have given some money potentially,
but you wouldn't have taken out a new credit card or a loan.
No, absolutely not. That stuff's too much hassle. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be that easy a mark.
Yeah, no, I think given I've got a mortgage and stuff now, I probably wouldn't really be given much of a loan anyway these days to be able to finance someone's extravagant lifestyle, especially if I'm not getting to enjoy it either. But now, just before the Oscars go live in a few minutes, time to talk about the other must-see film of the week, The Moon Will Fall. It's Roland Emmerich's latest disaster movie. Now, Lee, I don't know if I'm going to offer you commiserations or congratulations, because apparently you were not going to go see this film until I basically kind of persuaded you in that it's potentially so crazy that you kind of have to see it. It has to be seen to be believed. Basically, the premise is a science fiction film, which is light on science, heavy on fiction, and that the moon is out of orbit and is basically going to come crashing down into the Earth, destroying everything that we know and love. And NASA have to put together a mission to go up there and basically save the moon, save the Earth. So, Lee, what did you think?
Yeah, I wasn't planning to see this one until, we've got that deal, like, sometimes one of us will go, it's a film I really want to talk about this week, I know you're not maybe a big fan of this show or movie, but do you want to check this one out, and we'll go for it. So, we've got a good deal for that, and Moonfall very much fell under that.
It was very much I wasn't really wanting to definitely discuss it until it got to the final third of the film, because that film goes places.
Yeah, so I think what surprised me the most, so just before I went to film, I noticed it because it was like an independent production, which, fair play and credit to it, the gamble people take. But then when you think of like independent movies, okay, the biggest extremes are you get your Star Wars, independently financed by George Lucas, and then you get your Moonlight's on the other end, £1 million spent. This cost between 130 and 146 million dollars.
Between about 5 different production companies, I think it was.
Yeah, and I just found it to be a painfully dull movie. Like, even when it kind of goes a bit batshit, it just like you watch and you go, oh, it's just everything about it feels really poor. And I kind of came away from it thinking like, the film ends on a bit of a cliffhanger to an extent, but it's almost the same cliffhanger as Independence Day Resurgence. And I almost kind of thought, well, I was like, well, that film wasn't very good. But if you're going to go independent, make a big movie, I know there might be rights issues, but why not spend the money on sort of making your Independence Day 3 as opposed to this movie, which is going to just be a disaster, whereas Independence Day has that sort of built-in audience, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, shall we go into it? I guess we'll throw up a spoiler warning here. So essentially, NASA get to the moon to find out that it is in fact a hollow megastructure, which is actually a spaceship from basically a race of humans from millions of years ago who were so advanced that they created an artificial intelligence which ended up destroying them. And now this is essentially shown in a flashback scene where essentially an entire human race is wiped out by their own Alexa devices. And in trying to save their species, they sent off these giant spaceships to basically create new planets. So this moon megastructure created the Earth, and was basically waiting there the whole time to, didn't give them any help in advancing, humanity and stuff like that. And then basically this rogue AI, weird technology comes over to try and destroy the moon and inadvertently destroy any organic life living on Earth as well. And everyone was just like, what? I mean, it's just like, I don't even know how you even get to that point from your standard sort of disaster movie to what felt like Roland Emmerich was trying to do his own. This was his Interstellar, but just felt like a lot of people drinking Interstellar Artois to the point where it was just like, yeah, sure, absolutely. I believe I heard somewhere that NASA was involved in maybe some aspects of the science, but probably only like how the trajectory of the moon would have orbited the Earth. I think they probably walked away at the point that the moon was a hollow megastructure.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, as a Star Trek fan, it wasn't the most surprising thing in the world. They've done the whole Dyson Sphere episode sort of thing before, and, the science in a way was like, yeah, I've kind of seen that before in Star Trek Enterprise Season 3's Indie Arc and a couple of other episodes. So the science itself felt pretty manageable to watch and everything like that, but you know, it's one of those things, like, the whole disaster thing is just sort of done to death now, like, and especially by the people involved. Like, Independence Day, still one of the the greatest blockbuster movies of all time, and yeah, pretty enjoyable stuff. But yeah, with this was just chronically boring.
Yeah, no, it's one which I think doesn't embrace the silliness of it too much. I think if it had leaned into that, I think it maybe would have worked, maybe a bit more of a nod and a wink to the audience. But I think you said that I think was it John Bradley. I think you commented into it that basically you get, when you can't get Joss Gad, you get the sort of British equivalent. So yeah, I take it he didn't really work for you as a performance.
No, his was odd because I just was thinking at the beginning, is that Josh Grad? And it clearly it just took me a little while, and I did an inner movie database search, going, oh no, it's not him. And then I looked up the trivia, and they were like, oh, we tried to get him, but we couldn't get him. And yeah, so they kind of. Yeah, it was so obvious. Like, I couldn't believe they found like the perfect kind of replica for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a shame because, like, Patrick Wilson, I like Patrick Wilson. I think he's someone who always kind of gives it all to movies where maybe they're not the they're sometimes a bit silly, like the Conjuring ones and stuff. Like, he always gives like 100%, but I think yeah, he couldn't sort of fight off the rather just the script was really what let it down. I think when a movie makes the core look like a Nobel Prize winner for science, then I think you have got a problem. But yeah, maybe some people might want to see it. Apparently, looking at the box office scores, not many people have. But never mind. But I'm now looking at some of the Oscar results. They're coming up. Are you
Yeah,
doing it now as well?
I've got it kind of streaming away. We've got the original score one coming
So
up.
June's there.
um,
Excellent choice. Yeah, I think that would be my
yeah,
one.
I think you'll probably be a few seconds ahead of me.
Oh,
Yeah, I've just
only
got June
one
come
Johnny
up.
Greenwood there. Power of the Dog over Spencer. I was hoping to see.
Oh, the Spencer score wasn't the greatest in the world. Yeah, the Power of the Dog seems to be kind of what I'm seeing kind of popping up just now. Seems to be one of those ones where it's going through every
I'm going to
category.
predict now that I think Power of the Dog will win the Best Picture. I think it will be Netflix first win, and I think it's because they've got this system, the system of preferential voting where people will like rank them depending on the order. So I think there might not be an outright winner, but I think Power of the Dog would rank highly enough for most people that it would probably sneak in and pip the post. So we've got adapted screenplay here. Coda, Drive My Car. A lot of people will be happy with that one.
Oh, that's good news about Coda.
Yep, Coda won, Sundance earlier this year, and then it's managed to keep up the momentum again. June, excellent. Oh, John Spates, who did Prometheus, so you can always turn it around. So Denis Villeneuve, so he's got an Oscar nomination.
I should
again.
add, he did the original script for Prometheus, which is slightly better.
Lost Daughter there, and Power of the Dog, again for adapted screenplay. And I think we did you catch the?
Yeah, I think Power of the Dog is going to be one of those ones. It reminds me almost of the.
Yep. So if we go in original screenplay, Belfast. A bit of devices that one there. Don't Look Up. There's going to be a few people saying about that one, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's a bit ominous as well that Don't Look Up's going to be having the similar thing of Power of the Dog.
Oh, Licorice Pizza there for original screenplay. Excellent choice.
Yes, you're definitely a few seconds behind me. I've just got to King Richard, so that's great news about PTA. I'm trying to will Alana Haim into best actress here.
I am hoping she gets what I would call the wild card slot.
Oh, I didn't expect the worst person in the world to be nominated.
I know it's a good one. There's quite a few sort of foreign language nominations coming through here. So best supporting actress, there was Kirsten Dunst, Judi Dench, Jessie Buckley for Lost Daughter, Aunjanue Ellis for for King Richard, and then Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. So not, I think, what everyone was predicting for that lineup, but a competitive run in that one. We've got the live action shorts and the animated shorts, which, basically we don't do much. But I did actually review Bestia, which got a nomination there for a website I did. So that was interesting. I hope this is making for exciting listening for all you listeners at home, as you're basically listening to two people watching screens. We've got supporting actor coming up in a second. So this is going to be interesting. Kieran Hines, Belfast. Well, predicted, but I mean, have you seen Belfast? Oh, Troy Katzer for Coda, excellent. A lot of people are going to be happy with that one. Jesse Plemons, husband and wife, Power of the Dog nominations there. J.K. Simmons being the Ricardos, interesting. And Cody Smith McPhee, who will now be odds on for the Best Supporting Actor Oscar, and the E.E. BAFTA Rising Star, despite the fact that he's been in movies for around about 12, 13 years. His star is finally on the rise.
Yeah, it's truly one of the worst. The BAFTA awards have gone really weird in the past years, but they've never not been odd, those ones.
Yeah, no, I think with the BAFTA, with the sort of adding in sort of jury picks and stuff like that to make it, I don't know, apparently slightly more fair, but they did come up with some wild, crazy choices this year. To the point where people think they're no longer useful in predicting the Oscars. So what's the point of them? So, but a lot of people say that about a lot of award shows, such as Golden Globes and the Razzies. Will Jared Leto be the first person in a while to be nominated for an Oscar and a Razzie for the same role in the same year?
See, I liked Ben Affleck in Last
Ben Affleck
Duel.
in Last Duel is absolutely the best thing in it, and also the Ridley Scott film that should have been nominated for several Oscars this year. So not House of Gucci. So it looks like we're going to come up on film editing in a minute. Do you have any other sort of wildcard picks you want to throw out there as potential?
I bought Last Duel last week, and I think it was mostly on the back of that performance.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's such a criminally underrated film. I understand why some people would not want to watch it because it is a very tough.
But it seems that Belfast is also sort of having that trend as well of appearing in everything.
Yeah, it's. Oh, have you seen it? Have you seen Belfast yet? Yeah, Belfast for me was just one which was good, but just didn't really do it for me. So
Yeah, I've seen Belfast. I liked it. I watched the screener we got last year for it, so I liked it quite a bit. Who's this curly-haired guy? He looks like sort of Simon Amstel.
I think it seems almost like they've got different people announcing awards for different things. They had some looks like some healthcare professionals at a hospital announcing one of the categories. So, of course, now we're just in a holding pattern waiting for film editing.
It feels like a real throwback to some early things, isn't it? Where now we're going to cut to this school and
like the Big Fat Quiz of the Year on Channel 4, where they go to the a certain school in London who recreate one of the big news stories of the year. Film editing, I think, is one of the ones where they say basically, in order to win Best Picture, you need to have a film editing nomination. So I guess we'll have to see what comes up in here, and that might start to focus in on what's going to potentially be nominated. And how many nominees for Best Picture? Will they use all 10, or will it be around about 7, 8, 9? Who knows? I mean, June. It would be great to see June win, but will they wait for June Part 2 and do a Return of the King?
Go for the 10.
You think it'll go all 10?
Yeah. What's the story with foreign language feature this year? Was there a sort of one of those kind of controversial choices where something in France got picked over another this year, or is
Titane did not get picked. I think it was. Yeah, Titane was not selected by France for their pick. It won the Palme d'Or, and everyone thought it was going to be a shoo-in, but instead they went for. I can't remember. I don't think they even went with Petit Maman. I think they went with something else, and it was like, wow, everyone was very surprised at that one. But I think actually, in terms of quality, I think you're looking at the best international feature to probably be like, every single film will be worth the win. Be interesting to see if Flea makes it into the final mix, because considering that's an animated documentary as well, it had the potential to be nominated for animated film and animated and documentary, and potentially even best film. But it's not going to get best film, but it might appear in both of them. This guy with the curly hair is still talking.
Yeah, Petite Maman seemed to be riding a bit of a wave a few months ago, and it seems to drive. Yeah, Simon Amstel is continuing to talk on and on. I just would love to know who this guy is. I bet he's got this stack of books behind him, which I can imagine has been perfectly put together. That is not just a random stack.
Oh yes, although it's nice to see at least a stack of books, unlike say a culture secretary in the UK, Nadine Dorris, who's only got one book and a calculator on her shelf. So.
What book does she have? I can't imagine it's anything particularly interesting. It'll be like Roy Chubby Brown's biography or something.
Or one of the history books written by Boris Johnson, or ghostwritten by Boris Johnson. Don't Look Up. Okay. June, excellent. King Richard, interesting. Power of the Dog. Tick Tick Boom, nice. Does that increase the chances for Tick Tick Boom?
I think Will Smith's guaranteed a nomination.
You think he's guaranteed the win?
Stage.
I can't believe that Andrew Garfield wasn't nominated for the BAFTA. I was shocked and stunned.
Well, I think Will Smith's going to I think he's going to get the nomination now. Do you think your boy Garfield's going to get?
I think he'll get. I think he will get a nomination. I think he'll get a nomination, but I think it is Smith's to lose at this point. I think Makeup and Hair, Coming to America, Eddie Murphy film. They always have an Eddie Murphy film for makeup and hairstyling. June, okay. So I think June is probably going to be, June, House of Gucci wins makeup and hairstyling for Jared Leto. Well, interesting. But I think June will be the highest, it will have the most nominations out of any film. Whether or not it's able to convert any of them, of course, is a completely different thing. Hey, we've got the high school. We've got the high school. Fantastic.
Yeah, it seems like kind of like a Squid Game style background.
Oh, they are actually. They have got on those. That is interesting. They've got a WWE Global Superstar Titus O'Neil. But yeah, they are wearing Squid Game tracksuits in the background. This is slightly worrying.
Why is there a WWE Global Ambassador involved in the Oscars?
I am not sure, but actually, going back to Johnny Knoxville, he has appeared in the Royal Rumble and is currently in a kind of meta feud with Sami Zayn. So there's potential that Johnny Knoxville could be in a match at WrestleMania. There we go. Flea nominated for animated feature film. So great news for Encanto, which is probably going to win now, given that it's in got 10 songs in the Billboard Top 100 or something like that. So, but great to see Flea in there along with Mitchells and the Machines, which was another great one.
Oh, does it? I've not seen it.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can only watch it on Disney Plus, so it depends if you've got your subscription alive or not.
Here we go, original song, and this will be another win for James Bond, I bet.
The song with There Is No Time to Die. From No Time to Die, amazingly enough. But apparently the song from Encanto is basically, not the song that anyone would have picked.
That was an original song from Van Morrison. I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that either. But apparently the song they chose from Encanto is basically one of the ones which has not done really well in the charts. So it's an interesting pick from them on that one. Documentary short subject. I've not seen any of these, so I cannot possibly comment at this stage. Come on, let's speed through it. We want to get to the business end of things. Because we also have to get back to work. Pick up the pace. Flea there for a documentary feature as well as animated feature. Now we're going to, is that Times Square to speak to some firefighters? Amazing.
Oh yeah, God, it feels like a real throwback to 2001. Let's cut to Times Square and have something. Let's chat to the firefighters.
Could you imagine what would they do for the BAFTAs if they did something similar with this? Yeah, it's like they've got like Michelin Men suits underneath the fire thing.
Oh God, it'll be like a Greg's or something.
Greg's Bakers doing the nominations for best hair and makeup. Bond getting a nomination for best visual effects. Interesting there. I think we have to. I think they have to do this next year for the BAFTAs. I think we have to get random people off the street to do the nominations. Like they just ask someone to read the envelope and like, oh, another award ceremony. Come on. Oh, we've got a tragedy, Macbeth there for cinematography.
Here we go, June as well. Nightmare Alley, that's good.
Production design, I'm hoping for a Macbeth in here as well.
There we go. That'll be its one and only nomination, I bet.
I think Tragedy Macbeth, there we go. Production design, I think that's a well-deserved nomination there. A few, I think West Side Story's starting to creep up there. Here we go, international feature. This is going to be...
He's now put a hat on.
Drive My Car, expected. Flea's got 3 nominations now, excellent. Hand of God. Boot, I have not heard of that
I think
one.
Drive My Car's got it in the bag. Flea again?
Yeah. Worst Person in the World. So France misses out. Was that because they didn't select Haitian? Oh, did they kick themselves in the foot with that? I don't know. But yeah, I think it's Drive My Cars to lose now at this stage for Best International Film.
So much for Petite Maman then being this...
Yeah, the business end. Yeah, we're at the business end of things now.
Yeah, I think Flea's going to be split across too many. I love how the kids are all like, there's a mixture of them all kind of either looking straight ahead or looking to the camera, or others looking bored.
Yeah, just trying to play the guy at the front, just trying to play it cool, like he's like, I'm just looking.
You think Kristen Stewart's going to be nominated? I don't.
You
think
think
so
she's going to miss out now? I really hope she was. Oh, A24 are now retweeting their awards. So far, only 2. Javier Bardem gets the 5th thing by the looks of it. Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom. Will Smith. And then, is it Denzel gets Macbeth? So there'll be another retweet coming from A24 in a second.
Oh, there you go, Garfield.
Excellent. Very happy about that one. Not going to win, but still.
Yes.
Nice to see. Nice to be nominated.
Oh, Denzel Washington.
Yeah. I love the fact that I'm about probably 15 seconds ahead of you somehow. Here we go. Is it going to be?
I didn't see that one coming. I thought, here we go.
Yeah.
Leading actress.
Olivia Chastain.
Will we get
yes.
Kristen Stewart?
Olivia Colman. Yeah.
Success.
Penelope Cruz. Okay, she might get the 5th wild card. Oh, actually, that means Nicole Kidman. Yeah. It's now down. Here we come.
I've seen this Tammy Faye.
Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Oh, Film Twitter will not be up in arms at the moment.
I've not seen this Bring the Ricardos at all.
It's on Prime. It's one that I know. Yep, it's fantastic news. But yeah, no, Being the Ricardos is on Prime. I have no excuse not to watch it. I just can't be bothered getting right. Oh wow, Hamaguchi.
I think I'm now ahead of you.
Hamaguchi gets one for Drive My Car.
Belfast.
Licorice Pizza.
Drive My Car. That's
West Side Spielberg.
Licorice Pizza.
Oh, that means Being the Ricardos is going to be a Best Picture nominee. I'm going to have to watch it this weekend then. Oh no, wait, it's not. Belfast is the first one alphabetically.
Good old PT. Here we go. Best Picture time. Let's see if we get 10. Belfast.
Coda there.
Yeah. Coda and up for Best Picture then? No, Coda is. Yeah, Belfast, Coda. They're taking their time. I think this Don't Look Up. Oh dear.
Drive My Car and Best Picture. Well, I guess it's got international feature sewn up if it's also in Best Picture.
June. We should have been playing the trivia outside all this time. King Richard.
Nightmare Alley for Best Picture.
Licorice Pizza is up for nomination. Congratulations, PTA.
Stunned at Nightmare Alley getting a Best Picture.
Nightmare Alley, that's a bit unexpected, but good. Still space for Red Rocket. The Power of the Dog. Oh. Looks like we're getting our 10.
West Side Story. So Tick Tick Boom does not get So that's only 2 for Netflix. They were looking for 3 Best Picture nominees out of 10. Sadly, it
West
didn't
Side
happen.
Story. There we go. So Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, June, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. So there's our nominations.
Yep. Guess we can do a deep dive into it some other time and see what we think. We'll do an Oscar predictions one when it finally gets round to the Oscars. But that was kind of different and kind of exciting, I thought, especially with the random time difference. But then I guess we are not in the same room, so therefore there might always be a time difference.
It's an interesting mix. I think it went as expected, to be honest. There, I think there was 1 or 2 little surprises, but no real left field choice. But I'm pleased for Coda.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's is that 2 years in a row that they've managed they've managed to basically get a film from Sundance and all the way through to the end, potentially, actually, yeah. And
it all worked out time-wise.
Film Twitter is going to be ecstatic in the fact that Drive My Car got so many nominations, and then Kristen Stewart is finally an Academy Award nominee. Yeah, that brings us to an end of a very interesting special episode. We'll be back soon with more reviews of new releases, and Kim will be back in a couple of weeks as we look at the next installment of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. So, we've had people hitting each other on the balls, and now we're probably going to get a guy taking his chainsaw to people's balls. So, poetic cinema. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.
Welcome to Nerd Party.